Hey guys, Bradley Hallman here. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Can't tell you how much I really appreciate every single one of y'all being here. This video right here is going to be about motivation. Motivation for 2022, my next year. This is something that all you guys can look and check out to possibly help you guys become better anglers. Maybe you work at it and follow along with this to improve your results of next year in your tournaments, whether they're team tournaments or pro-ams, whatever you guys fish. This is something that I hadn't seen done on a lot of other channels. If I haven't been watching enough YouTube. I've got tons of notes here that I've taken that we're going to go over today. This video right here, like I say, is going to be about motivation. This is actually going to be the second video to this. If you guys missed, this is really what started this off. I did a video last Monday and dropped it. It was basically about my fire, my want to, my drive. I fish the Bassmaster Opens right now. I'm trying to qualify for the Elite Series, somewhere that I have already been. Fished multiple years on the FLW Tour. I am trying to re-qualify for 3 spots at the end of the year out of 225 boat fields in each division. And quite frankly, at the end of the year with some burnout and things, I really wanted to sit back and reflect on the things that I have done to how I can improve to get better for next year. That's what last video was about. I got tons and tons and tons of comments, feedbacks, phone calls from really good friends of mine, people that I don't know at all. Most of them, almost all of them, just incredible feedback, positive. You guys told me a lot about myself, honestly, that I quite honestly hadn't recognized. And we're going to go over some of that today. That's going to be my motivation. That's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to name this series the Process Series. And I'm going to carry it all fall long. So this fall, this winter, my off season, the process is going to be about the things that I'm going to do to try to increase my chances and opportunities to do better in 2022. So you guys, don't forget, follow along, bump that like, hit that subscribe if it's your first time here, and let's get to it. The process, motivation. All right, guys, welcome back to my channel. This video, like I talked about, is going to build off of the last video that I did. So if you guys didn't see that video, go back and check it out. It's the last one I dropped last Monday. I got a lot of feedback and of all different kinds, and most of it positive, and guys, just like you guys watching right now, I got a lot from it. And to be quite honest, I learned a little bit about myself that I quite honestly probably didn't know. I got calls from friends. I was contacted by Elite Series anglers that I don't even know. There's a lot of people that go through the same things that I talked about in the last video, of all different levels of fishing tournaments. And like I say, this video really, probably this process could be used not only in the sport of bass fishing or athletics or anything like that. It could also fit with business or competition of any kind, anywhere that you have competition. So I got the idea of where I wanted to go from this. I've got notes, things that were highlights that I found to motivate myself for next year, where I can improve. We're going to go over those right here. One of the first things that really just jumped right out at me was the last video. I really talked mainly about my desire, my want to, my fire, and how I could make it burn hotter. And that I was, quite honestly, a little bit envious of some of my friends who are some of the best anglers in the world, how they burn constantly. That's all they think about. They wake up thinking about a fish. They go to bed thinking about a fish. They're thinking about a fish right now. I promise they are. And I've been envious of that. And someone pointed out, said, hey dude, you know, I work with lots of different athletes and very successful at the highest level, and not everyone burns like that. That's kind of a genetic trait. Some people burn and think about something constantly, and some people don't. Some people it's intermittently. And I got to thinking, well, man, I never really thought of it that way. You know, some people need that downtime, and I'm one of those guys that needs away time, right? But the problem with me is that I feel guilty on my away time that I'm not working on the trade, right? So same person brought up another very good point was you need a schedule. Like, you need a schedule. And what a schedule really allows is it allows you to schedule the time that you're going to spend. Like, you know, you can sit down at the beginning of the year. I'm not talking about a weekly schedule. I'm talking about for the whole year, right? The whole off season, going all the way into start of next season. A schedule allows you to set up, okay, I want to spend this many hours. Like, I'm okay if I spend this many hours working on what I, need to work on for my game to improve, to have a better 22 than I had in 21. The biggest thing that I see the advantage of the schedule is that once I acknowledge, hey, this is what I want to work on, then I'm not fighting the guilt in my mind whenever I'm not working on what I'm, the sport. I'm not kicking myself over it. I'm not bringing myself down mentally over the fact that, hey, dude, so-and-so is working right now. You should be working. Because I'm okay with that. I've scheduled. I've been, okay, this is what you're going to do. So then also, when I am working, I'm not like, hey, man, you need to take the kid and take her down there to the pond and catch some brim. Like, I can set all that aside to where I have time to accomplish all of my goals, right? Personal, family goals, work goals, career goals, and be okay with all that. And I think mentally, that's going to be a big deal for me, because then I'm not kicking myself all year long, all off season, about what I need to get accomplished, or you put things off, and you know how it is. You've got things that are your least favorite to do, and you put them off to the very last. And working on tackle, quite honestly, is one of mine. Like, dude, I'm not a tackle tinkerer. Like, a lot of guys love to tinker with tackle. I should do more of it, because what it does is it familiarizes yourself with all the different baits and techniques that you have available to you. Plus, it keeps you kind of caught up on some of the newest trends and the newest, hottest things going, which in the sport that I'm involved in is very important. Fish become used to seeing the same types of things over and over, and if you can show them a little different cricket, it can be the difference from getting a bite and no hookup to hooking up to 2 or 3 more than what you would. And in the course of a day, that's a whole lot. And when you look at the course of the year, and we're talking about points, 2 or 3 fish here or there, especially at certain events. I'm on the Elite Series in 2022. So it's that fine of a line that we're trying to adjust to. And so this was a very, very good advice that was thrown out to me from a fan, someone who I don't know at all, and I appreciate it greatly. I'm going to put that schedule to work, and that's probably going to be my next video following this one in the process series. Is I'll show you guys the schedule. I'm going to sit down and come up with what I think is enough time for me to be spending on each parts of my trade, so that there's enough time, whether it be working with marketing stuff, because that obviously takes up part of my time, whether it be actually working on tackle, spending time out in the garage, things like that, ordering baits, doing research for the tournaments coming up for next year, the lakes, and how well I know them, don't know them. Anyway, you get the idea. So that will probably be the next video in the process series. But with this one right here, this one's about motivation. This helped me tremendously with motivation. This video, I think logging this thing on, saying it to this camera, which I know that thousands of you are watching it, holds you accountable somewhat, quite honestly, right? Like, it's out there. So maybe this process right here of just recording this log is somewhat like my log that I used to keep, that I showed you guys in the last video back in the early 2000s, when I felt like my desire and hunger was there. Just the fact that I'm making these videos proves to me, myself, that hey, the want to is there. I've just gotta dwindle my focus down to where it's needle point precision, my focus of what my goals are and what I need to do to accomplish it. One of the other big things that I know that was pointed out to me, and I did know this, and you do lose track of it, the process, you have to get lost in, you have to enjoy. It's taking care of those little things without really focusing on the end goal is what takes care of the end goal. And I know this for a fact. The going through all the things that need to be taken care of without worrying about the bottom line at the end will help take care of the bottom line at the end. And I really get that. And I know that. I've seen it from experience before. It's how I've gotten to this point in my career bass fishing. And I really am going to spend time focusing on that. Another thing that came up that I thought was really good that jumped off was a guy mentioned something about volunteer time. And I really have not thought about that. I do volunteer, do some stuff with some kids and different things, which you guys have seen on this channel. I try to help out there at the University of Oklahoma. I think they've got me down on paper as their head coach. I need to do more. But there's something with age, and the guy pointed this out, and I think it's a big deal. There's something with age that, you know, a 24-year-old doesn't do things for the same reason that a 45-year-old does. And at 45, you know, volunteering your time for less fortunate probably helps in your mind set you back to realize to be more thankful for the positions that you're in. So I'm going to take a piece of that. I mean, there's a reason why coaches all across the country take their teams and do things like that, whether they're at children's hospitals or things like that. There's reasons that they do that. And it is for the mental focus to help us all appreciate the situations and the things that we've been blessed with in life. And I think that's a big one. A lot of you guys really appreciated the real talk. I don't know how I could be any more real than what I've been on this. I mean, this is pretty much laying out my life, somewhat without getting into my personal stuff, but definitely my career. Keeping logs. This was number 5. Somebody mentioned to go back keeping logs. I showed you guys this was a log from early in 2000. This was just 1 week of a tournament. This log has many, many pages like that through this calendar where I spent tons of time taking notes of different places that I'd fished, and I agree. I need to get another calendar. I want another calendar just like this one so that I can use whether I'm practice fishing, fun fishing, or tournament fishing. I do think that keeping the daily log is very important, and it's easy to get lackadaisical and to stop. One of the things I'll tell you guys in fishing in particular, I know, and maybe it's this way in a lot of trades, is that early in your career, when you start, it's easy to remember everything. Like I remember a lot of stuff from early on, right? Years, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I remember a lot of detail about things. But as you continue to do it more and more and more, they kind of all start running together as you get older. And I think that this right here can help you pull this out, go over it. I used this book. Somebody pointed out to use this book as motivation. I actually laid in bed one night and went through this entire calendar and read everything that I had written back in 2004. And, it shows the drive and the things that I was learning then. And quite honestly, it's a good learning tool now to use. Some of the things that I thought I knew, I didn't really know what I thought I did know back then, but it's kind of funny to go back and look. And, you kind of smile at yourself and go, yeah, you thought you knew something, but you really didn't. This is where you should have been. And anyway, you get the point. Confidence, and I talked about my buddy Castledine and how his confidence just roars like he never does anything wrong. Somebody pointed out you need to keep that, and you're right. I need to take a chip from him. It's not who I am personally to, I don't know how to put this, but I just don't naturally, I'm not wired like he is. But I do agree that in the sport of bass fishing, I probably do need to get my head wrapped around that to where I contain that confidence no matter how good, bad a day is going or an event is going or the last 2 events have gone. I need to grab a hold of that and not let go of it. Trust and believe in your ability, something someone else suggested. I agree. This goes back to the same thing of the confidence of Castledine. The reasons, so they'll say this was about fire, the reasons that I'm here and why I want to do this. And Blue Trophies is quite honestly what I want to achieve. I don't want to do this for 20 more years. I don't want to be fishing a pro circuit when I'm 65. I want to do this for about 10 more years. And in that time frame, I would like to try to collect a couple of Blue Trophies from the Elite Series, and I wouldn't mind stacking one of those big giant gold ones either if that opportunity was to arise. And I feel like that in the next 10 years, that possibility is there for me if I can just stay focused and get the results that I need. What else was in here? Guys, I've got so many notes here. I wrote down here, you ain't Terry Bradshaw yet. When I was actually taking these notes was yesterday. I was sitting in front of the TV and Terry Bradshaw was on there, and he was one of my childhood heroes as a quarterback and NFL football player. And he's standing there on the set now on Sunday mornings, and he's got a little cane that he's carrying around with him. And Terry's looking pretty old, and I just remind myself, hey, you ain't Terry Bradshaw yet. Not yet anyway. Someday that's probably coming. Someone pointed out smallmouth, and I think this is a good idea. So smallmouth is probably one of my weaknesses, and there's no doubt about it. and being able to focus on something to improve on, to like get a lot better at, that's a different part of my game, that's where I struggle. I agree with that aspect, and would help my fire. So I'm going to spend some time. There's definitely going to be some time dedicated to this off season to focusing on migrational movements, habits, and things of smallmouth that maybe I'm not as up to knowledge-wise as I might think that I am. There's definitely something missing there. So I'm going to visit with some of my friends. I've got a lot of buddies up north. I'm going to spend some time on the internet, and I'm going to do some smallmouth research. I think that was a great idea. Fitness was brought up right off the bat. Let's talk about this one, because this is one that I used to go to the gym all the time. I used to be pretty into it. Obviously, Castledine is like, you know, he looks like he's 22, but he's over 40, and it's because he spent the majority of his life in the gym and taking care of himself. This is not an athletic sport to the point of, you know, a football player or a basketball player. That's why men can do it at much older ages and still compete at a high level. Some of the very best bass anglers, this has been my opinion on it, okay? Some of the very best bass anglers that I've ever seen definitely look like they stopped and ate 5 cheeseburgers every night before they went to bed, along with a gallon of ice cream, and they still come out and destroy them on tournament day. Then there's other guys that are as fit as they can be, and you know, I'm not pulling or singling any one person out, but quite frankly, there's some of those guys that just don't catch them as good as others. The actual fitness part has nothing to do with catching bass. Now, with that being said, I got on the phone with my buddy John Sukup, and we were talking after I made this video. And Sukup, who no doubt right now his confidence is roaring, and he burns like some of these guys I'm talking about. Sukup burns like any of the guys that you meet. There's a reason why he's won 2 events, jumped in the first open he's ever fished in his life, and led it from day 1 this year. He's hungry, and he started going to the gym months ago. So he used to be a big gym rat. He'd gotten back into it, really allowed him to spend time with his son, which was a big deal for him. And but anyway, we were talking about what I just told you, man. Well, I know a lot of guys, you know, that like, so I've never really thought about that much. One, he said, at your age, keep you hooked up longer. Do I agree with that? I'm like, yeah. He goes, okay. He said, the biggest thing I can tell you, and this is really what stood out to me, was he's like, it can't hurt you. So like, if it's something that would help you and make you stronger, why wouldn't you do it? And I'm like, game on, got it. So like, I'm not talking about going into a Castledine fitness deal, but man, I definitely need to start a morning routine, just like I used to do. I enjoy some workouts in the morning, doing some cardio and stuff, to where you're not just, and it also allows with that discipline process, right? It helps with discipline and being committed to something, and it gives you something to kind of focus on. So that's definitely something I'm going to add into my calendar and my scheduling. That will definitely happen, and I appreciate Sukup on that one. It's not just the fitness part. The point that he brought up, and this is true for all things, if it's something that could only help you and could not hurt you, why would you not do it? I think that was a really good point that John Sukup brought up. Analyzing last year, this is also something I'll probably do, probably make another video of. Maybe that'll be my next video before I do the scheduling, I don't know, but I really want to sit down with pen and paper, kind of do that pang rack deal that I kind of made fun of him. If you guys saw that on BTL, he was talking about he had caught so many percentage, 23.2% of his fish on this bait, and 18.91% of fish came on this bait. And I kind of laughed and joked, and I was like, dude, I have no idea what I caught a 4-pounder on and what I caught a 3-pounder on. I don't know. But I'm going to sit down and do that. And so maybe that'll be a video. I can see we're analyzing the things that went wrong last year at a greater detail than what I was originally planning on doing. Could help me point out some things that I could fix to possibly do better in the next year. Stop bathing with JMFW. I agree. Bubble bass with James Watson probably need to stop. I think I'm going to spend some time. I hadn't deer hunted in years. I think this is going on my schedule. My children is about the only thing, and I know they freaking love trying to chase a deer, so definitely going to do some of that this fall with them. That'll go on the schedule. Help with my downtime. More high-low high. guys, I don't know if you'd seen that or not. It's something I do with my family at night. Every night we do dinner. We do high-low high. That's for another time and place. But let's see. Tell family about my goals and include them. Now there's something my family's obviously aware of when I'm gone and come and go. But I will say that I've kind of gotten caught up in the fact of I've done this so much that, they don't really know exactly what my goals are, and include them to, this is the schedule and this is when I'm going. So I think I'm going to work on that. Especially my teenage daughters are a little bit older. I'm going to definitely include them on the goal setting and what the purpose is and what we're trying to accomplish. So maybe they're a little more involved on the day-to-day of, hey, how's it going and how did you finish? Because right now, they know where I finished at the end of the tournament, but it's kind of hum-ho either way, right? Good event, bad event. It doesn't really affect their daily life. So including my family more with my goals is definitely going to be on here. Plus, it helps hold me more accountable. Improved attitude about the opens. And I agree on this. I had been down. We'd gone through all the negatives, and you're correct. And I actually sit down and thought about a lot of the positives that have to do with the open. And I'm going to include those going forward and not focus so much on the negatives that I talked about in the last video. I totally agree. Focus on the positives of the opens. Get a co-angler to travel with and fish. This is a great idea and something I thought about going forward. I may even do a deal where we'll talk about this winter as we get a little closer. But having someone who's energetic, ready to rock and roll every morning in practice and stuff with you, I think that is an advantage. Hey, that's a positive that you have in the opens that you don't have anywhere else. Because, man, look at it, guys. Let's be real. Elite Series, there's no co-anglers. There's no co-anglers on the MLF. There's no co-anglers on the Pro Bass Tour. This is really one of the few places that you have that opportunity, and just the energy from a young guy feeding off of him in the mornings and the hunger to go fishing could definitely help me. I think I may just try to find one in each division. Someone that's from the north that wants to travel and fish those, someone from the south, and then someone from the central. And I have 3 different guys that I use for all 3 tournaments that we travel. I think that's a great idea. And it also allows me to do a little bit of mentoring, a little bit probably. They're going to teach me a lot. I can teach them a little bit, and I think that's a great idea. I really do. So that's definitely something I want to get on my schedule and think more about that. Set smaller goals along the way. I agree. I'll have to figure out what some of those smaller goals are. But if you set smaller goals, if, like I talked about in the last video, when your only goal is top 3 spots and it's success or failure, and you look at yourself that way, failure is pretty easy to fall into because there's 225 guys, so there's 222 that are falling into that failure position, and only 3 guys that are successful. And that's an uphill battle to think about something that way. So yeah, setting smaller goals I think is a great idea. Like I talked about earlier, success is becoming consumed with the process. I totally agree with that. We kind of went over that earlier. So in ending, and I think this is important, in ending, I know that none of these guarantee qualifying for the elites next year. But what it does do is at the end of 2023, or would that be 22, I know that I gave forth my best effort. If I can include all of these things and do these things that I'm talking about at the end of the year, it's a success. It's not a success if I qualify or I don't. If I do all these things in front of me that we just talked about, I know that it's a successful year. And last but not least, if you guys can't tell, this video is a lot more about life than it is just about fishing, right? So this is a document that will always be on YouTube. And I got 4 kids, and we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So guys, that's it. That's a wrap on this one. I really appreciate y'all being here. Don't forget, bump that like, hit that subscribe, and tune in for the next one. We'll start going over schedules and probably a breakdown of last year. Also, hey, I want to hit y'all up. I've got another video dropping Thursday, so we don't just completely get lost on this process series. I've got another video dropping on Thursday. Co-angler series falls in there, guys. I had a wonderful conversation with probably In my opinion, he's the greatest co-angler of all time. And he really goes through his process and the things that made him successful at what he did in his trade out of the back of the boat. Help you guys there, help all y'all become better fishermen. It's a great video. You guys don't want to miss that one. Till next time, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.